Liberation and Divine Cosmology. It is available now in a printed edition as paperback, as hardcover, and as electronic version as Kindle. To my surprise as well, when I started working on this book, I thought that probably it will come to about 200 pages something. Maybe it will be quite smaller than the first book. That was my original intention, but as time went by, month by month, all these important topics were coming by and people were asking questions. And I'm grateful for your questions, for your need of clarification. So I brought extra topics to explain more things that are of your interest. And as a final book, it came to be 383 pages. It came to be nearly 40 pages bigger than the first one. So that was also very surprising that this volume came in such a beautiful harmony all together. So this book answers some key questions. What is divine path? And one of the key paragraphs goes that many spiritual paths exist, but not all lead to the true and pure divine regions beyond our local universe, Brahmanda, beyond the effulgent bliss of Lord Brahm, which is known as awareness, level of consciousness, and even beyond the vast expanse of 700 quadrillion higher Brahmanda universes. This book comes with the key quote, "O dear soul, receive this divine grace. A treasure is found by those who recognize a diamond on a pebble road." So this is a divine grace to your soul. And this treasure is found by those who have discernment, for those souls who are ready to receive this divine grace. The key questions, or we call them the spiritual gems that this book brings forth, are: what is complete soul liberation? Demystifying yogic cosmology, revealing who was the primal Sadguru in the world, explaining the creation of duality and the creation of the mind. How was duality created? How was the mind created? There is so little information who can explain that in any spiritual paths. Everybody seeks to transcend duality, but not everybody understands how it even came to be in the first place, how it manifested, who created the mind. Recognizing the value of the divine light and sound stream. This is a central topic, and uncovering our innate divine nature in the regions of higher consciousness. Very briefly, I would also like to introduce you to some of the key chapters of the book. So the first chapter of the book explains what is divine Marga, that there are two main steps, a soul-centered path. What does soul liberation mean? A fully liberated soul. It introduces the divine light sound stream, examining world faiths, looking at other religions and other world traditions in relation to the divine light and sound stream, a comparison, analysis. The role of a Sadguru, or a spiritual master in this process. What is divine vidya as a transcendent divine knowledge? We look at more deeply what is the nature of the soul, how the souls were brought to life, where were they born, how they were brought, and by whom and where, who created the mind and duality. Explaining about the nature of different sources, different gods, how many sources there are. And chapter 2 dives deeply into the divine cosmology. So the whole chapter is dedicated to explain the gods of creation in hierarchical order and the planes of existence, divine cosmology. So in the book, we go one by one, each plane with the relevant mantra and the attunement of sound, more details that were either not released in public before or were released in some of the past retreats that we held. Chapter 3 goes to explain about the primal Satguru in the world, that in Sat Yuga, he was known as Gyani, Satsukrit, in Treta Yuga as Maninder, in Dvapara Yuga as Karuna, and in the Kali Yuga, the current age, as the Kabir. Very beautiful. This chapter is so beautiful that it includes Kabir's treasure. It's a very little known knowledge because if you try to look up online for Kabir works, you will only find references to his poems, like Rumi. But poems are only the tip of the iceberg of the treasure of Sant Kabir Das. So here we overview the treasure of Kabir, including his influence of Guru Nanak and his spiritual lineage. Chapter 4 goes a bit into a more challenging topic, into the rougher seas, about the nature of Lord Brahm or Kal Niranjan, how he fell from grace. And again, there are parallels, there are comparative studies with the ancient mystical Gnostic knowledge. This is a really high level knowledge of the creation of our universe, why there are all these problems that we have, why there is duality, why there is injustice. We need to see big picture to be able to answer these ultimate questions that people ask. Why, if God is all loving, why there is injustice? Well, this chapter answers all of that. So it goes into a very deep story of Anurag Sagar, how Lord Brahm, or also known as Kal Niranjan, fell from grace of Satpurush. It's not the story of Adam and Eve, how they fell from grace. This is so much lower level. That's in relation to humanity itself. This chapter covers how the God who created our universe fell from grace. Much, much bigger picture. So it goes into beautiful details for you to gain this sacred knowledge. Chapter 5 goes into detail about spiritual teachers, their soul advancement, and karma. So we distinguish between saints, yogis, yoga preceptors, gurus, and sadgurus. What's the difference between them? We go into detail about that. Soul advancement. We look at the 3 degrees of avatars, the 3 levels of avatars, about the nature of the spirit and the true spiritual heart. integration of consciousness, 4 types of karma, major forms of consciousness, about the powers and degrees of awareness and non-duality. So this covers in broad terms the knowledge about spiritual teachers, why they're different and what do they do. Chapter 6 becomes a bit more easy read about the divine way of living in relation how you can start practicing, what you can start doing and aligning with the way of the divine. And finishing chapter 7 is more of a nirguna bhakti approach of the cultivation of love for the formless God Supreme. So it's the path of nirguna bhakti, bhakti inquiry, unconditional love, and what are its origins, and finishing with the beautiful gratitude to all our guides and teachers. At the end of the book, we have glossary, which was a very extensive work to get it together. This is where we have a unique glossary explaining some of these terms, because this book is, we may say, a holy book that descended from the divine. It has some unique terms and a unique language, in other words. Therefore, glossary is necessary. And another important part towards the very end of the book, it's the about section about Divine Marga, about the foundation, the Humanity Foundation, and also about the Divine Marga initiation. So we have a whole topic in detail. What is Divine Marga initiation? How it happens? And what are the requirements? This is a very, very important topic. The next opportunity to receive the initiation will be in Nepal in our upcoming retreat in April. So these are the key chapters and the key topics of this truly special, unique book that is so difficult to find even any similar references. As you may know, we love researching other paths and traditions, and it is so rare knowledge that spiritual teachers and gurus, even in India, very, very few know anything about this high level of divine knowledge. This is extremely rare. And this is the gift that we are bringing to the Western world and to the Eastern world. It's actually for all humanity. It's a very, very big gift that has descended for everyone. How this book came to be, we may say a central role is of the Sant Kabir Das and Gyani as his true name, and the absolute supreme God, Satpurush, which has more degrees, divine, deeper regions, but it's the same being. It's the same Satpurush. It's just deeper aspects of Satpurush as we go deeper into the divine. And it's endless, actually. 6 are the main regions that we may find some references in other spiritual traditions, such as Meher Baba spoke about some of these higher aspects, and the Sadgurus of Sant Mat have spoken more about these aspects, but very, very little knowledge exists as a whole. So having our gratitude to all these beings who have assisted myself and Leon, our souls, to return to the divine. In the About section, I have included a complete list of all the lineages that we work with. And Divine Marga is a integral, holistic approach, which combines the most effective elements of different paths in our unique way to provide a highway, effective highway. And lastly, I would like to express my gratitude and the acknowledgements to our beautiful team members who one way or another have contributed to this book. So that would be Manvir and Michelle and Anneke and Helena and Temi and Nicole, who have put some good work and beautiful support to bring this book forward, as well as those who helped to proofread it and polish it up, Rasa and Andreas and Smita and Shambhu for his suggestions, and our final proofreader, Moira. And as well, of course, my deepest love to my own parents who brought me into this physical world, this form for the soul to inhabit. And really, the biggest gratitude is to, of course, to Leon, my beloved one, who has assisted immensely with this work, and countless conversations and beautiful meditations together, which have brought beautiful quality to this book. And gratitude to all of you as well for all your questions and for your presence and participation, because everything together made it happen. So thank you all with much love, and may this book be a blessing to all of you and to all of you with whom you will share it, and to many, many other souls who have been waiting for this moment to come. Because as we may realize that a soul takes 4,800,000 life forms until it matures for the beginning of the spiritual path of awakening. So the soul has to go through 8,400,000 life forms until it inhabits a human form who begins to be ready for a spiritual path. And there you are, those few of humanity who are embracing the highest spiritual path. So your souls are those rare ones who are ready for this, who have been waiting a long time for this. In a large sense, it's not about numbers, how many, because as Hazur Baba Sawan Singh said, that rather than having tens of thousands of interested, curious people about what I teach, I'd rather have a few souls who are truly ready to walk the path all the way, because those are truly just a few who are ready to embrace this, who are mature enough.